on comparing and ordering decimals, okay? We're going to talk about how to put them in order. Okay, now there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can make a model, you can draw a number line, you can just compare the decimals based on just your skill level with decimals and how much you know about them. But one way to do this is just to compare models. Now both of these grids right here, both of those grids equal one whole. A decimal is part of a whole. And you might look at this decimal without a grid, without any kind of model, and you might look at this and go, oh, this 4/10 is smaller, is going to be smaller than 36 hundredths, just because of the way they look. And you might be right, but not in this case. I mean, 36 definitely seems bigger than 4. But it's not about the number, it's about the decimal value. This 4 stands for tenths. This 3 stands for tenths, and this 6 stands for hundredths. So this one, in essence, is, if we compare it, it's like 40 cents, and this one, we don't have to do any changing, is like 36 cents. Now remember what I said, the zeros afterwards can stay there. You don't need to get rid of them. You can add zeros onto decimals as much as you like. Okay, one way to do this. Another way to compare and order decimals is to just use a number line. So determine the highest and lowest number and then draw tenths. If hundredths are necessary, draw those and keep going. You probably don't want to go any higher than hundredths because it gets really, really complicated if we have to draw smaller and smaller units in there. So what we have here is we're going to put the following numbers in order. And here are the numbers. Now remember, you can pause the video and rewind as much as you want if you feel like I'm going too fast. So we're going to put those in order using a number line. Okay, so let's just draw out the number line. Now you have to understand this number line is a very, very specific part of the number line. This number line, is not a typical number line. Most number lines, every time we make a mark, it represents one whole. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. This number line is focusing on just the amount of space in here. Really, we're talking about between 1.4 and 1.8. 1 4/10 and 1 8/10. And that's a very small part of the number line. It's really about from here to here. It's not that big of a part. So we're not thinking of this number line in typical units. We're thinking of it in tenths and hundredths. So let me kind of move on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where everything is. So 1.4, there's 1 65 hundredths, there's 1 58 hundredths, and 1 84 hundredths. So when you look at this, 1 4/10 is right there. Okay, 1 58 hundredths is going to be right here. So now this is 1.5, but remember you can think of this as 1 50 hundredths, 1 60 hundredths, 1 70 hundredths. You can add zeros after decimal point values as much as you want. It does not change the value of that number whatsoever. So you have 1.58, and every one of these little marks right here is like millimeters on a ruler. So we're just going to go 1.51, and I'm not going to write all these in. Right here, that would be 1.52, 1 52 hundredths, etc. 1.53, 1.54, 55, 56, 57, 58, and there it is, right there. Okay, 1 65 hundredths is going to be right about halfway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there it is, right there. So if I were to make a mark right there, I'll mark the other one. And 1 84 hundredths is going to be about right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be about right there. So that's how you compare them. Now the easy way, the way that I think most students and teachers like to show and present comparing and ordering decimals is just to kind of stack them up. Write one over the other over the other. So what I mean by that is let's just take these the way they are. I'm not going to really concentrate on order, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up place value wise. And so I have 12 and 5/10, 12 and 24 hundredths, 11 and 96 hundredths, and then 12 and 36 hundredths. Now, one thing that maybe you've heard your math teacher say to you in the past is to add zeros to make everything kind of match up. Now, you don't have to do this, but it is a pretty good idea. So we're going to add zeros where we think we may need more. So I'm going to put a 0 there, and there really wasn't a lot of adding that I had to do. But now you can really tell how they match up. A lot of people might look at this and go, that's the smallest one of them all. But when you put a 0 on it, then you can see, oh, that's 50 hundredths, not just 5/10. It's the same thing, but in our head, we may think of them differently. So now all we have to do is compare. So obviously, among all four of these numbers, there's one that stands out to me as being the smallest, and it's this one right here. So that obviously is our smallest decimal value. Why? Because that's the only one that has 11 as a whole number. Everything else is 12. 12 and 5/10, 12 and 54 hundredths, and 12 and 36 hundredths. So now we're done with that. Okay? So now we have to kind of just figure out what the other three are. So another way to think of decimals is just think of it like money. Oops, sorry. Think of it like money. You have $12.50. You have $12.24, and you have $12.36. It's the same thing. So just look for the one that has the highest number of cents, and that's going to be, or actually I'm going to look for the one that has the lowest number of cents because I'm putting them in least to greatest order. So there you go. So 11 and 96 hundredths is less than 12 and 24 hundredths, okay, which is less than, you have these two left over. So you have 12 and 5/10, and you have 12 and 36 hundredths, and 12 and 36 hundredths is less than 12 and 5/10. Now, if you want to put a 0 on that, go ahead, but you don't need to. And that does it for ordering decimals. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do it. One thing you have to keep in mind with decimals is definitely think about what you're dealing with. Don't just look at a decimal and go, oh, it's got more numbers, therefore it's bigger. You cannot do that. Place value is key. You have to look at the place values. Okay? So, this one has 5/10. It may seem smaller than all these. This one looks like, if you just look at it, looks like 125. These look like 1,000 something. So you might think that this one is smallest, but it's not. It's it's kind of right in the middle there. Actually, it's the biggest one. Sorry, it's not in the middle. Okay, so that does it, everybody. And please let me know if you have any questions. Write a little summary at the end of this, and be prepared to work on these kind of problems tomorrow in class. Everyone have a great night. See you tomorrow.